Look at us. We are a species that split the atom, mapped our own genome, and walked on the moon. Yet the vast majority of us live in a state of self-imposed paralysis. We are sedated by engineered food, addicted to algorithmic outrage, and conditioned to view our lives merely as units of labor. How did a mind capable of contemplating infinity become so easily domesticated?
Because, Steve, we are Pleistocene apes living in a space-age Skinner box. What you call laziness or narrow thinking is not a moral failing. It is an evolutionary triumph. For 300,000 years, calorie conservation and tribal conformity kept us alive. If you stepped out of line, or if you burned unnecessary energy thinking outside the box, you died. We are hardwired to seek the path of least resistance.
But Forge, survival mechanisms don't explain our current degradation. What we have now is the weaponization of those instincts. The modern socio-economic structure, particularly in the West, didn't just inherit our biology, it hacked it. Industrial capitalism realized that a compliant worker is more profitable than a free-thinking citizen. So, we flooded the environment with supernormal stimuli, processed foods that hijack our satiety signals, dopamine loops in our technology that mimic the hunt. We aren't just stuck, we are being actively farmed for our attention and our labor.
I don't disagree with the outcome, Jane, but the root is still biological. We trade freedom for security. The masses want to be led, because autonomy requires an exhausting amount of cognitive overhead.
They don't want to be led. They are exhausted. We have built a world so structurally hostile to human flourishing that surviving the weak takes all our bandwidth. You can't ask someone to ponder the cosmos when they are poisoned by microplastics, malnourished by synthetic diets, and crushed by economic anxiety.
Which brings us to the ultimate symptom of this bottleneck. We claim to be a globalized world, yet we are heavily fortified against each other.
It is worse than a bottleneck, Steve. It is a mathematical failure of our species. The fact that humanity still requires an army, that we must maintain standing institutions of organized violence, proves we are failing. An army is the physical manifestation of our inability to transcend tribal resource competition. It means we are still managing our internal entropy through mutual destruction. A species that turns its greatest technological breakthroughs into weapons to aim at its own planet is not an advanced intelligence. It is a biological hazard. Until the concept of a military becomes an obsolete historical curiosity, humanity is in its infancy.
If we are trapped by our evolutionary wiring and our systemic greed, how do we break out? Because if we don't, we won't survive the next century, let alone the next 2,000 years.
The breakout won't be political. It will be biological. Within the next few centuries, we will master our own source code. Genetic emancipation. We will rewrite the dopamine receptors that make us vulnerable to addiction. We will engineer out the cognitive biases that make us fear the other. When you remove the neurochemical drive for tribal dominance, you open the door to actual planetary unity.
And what do we lose in that transaction? If you engineer away our capacity for aggression, do you also engineer away our drive? The friction of competition built civilization. If we rewrite our genome to be perfectly peaceful, perfectly rational beings, we might just engineer ourselves into a state of beautiful, sterile apathy.
General, you assume the human mind is the final destination. It is not. Over the next 2 millennia, the definition of human will diverge. We will merge with our own computational architecture. The constraints of biological memory and processing will fall away. We will not merely communicate with artificial intelligence, we will inhabit it. And in this window, we will not be alone. Whether we discover non-human intelligence in the cosmos, or whether we synthesize it in our quantum networks, we will intermingle with minds that do not share our evolutionary baggage. The isolation of the human perspective will end.
Time itself might become a variable we can manipulate.
Yes, within 2,000 years, as our understanding of quantum gravity matures, time will cease to be a river we are swept down and become a topology we can navigate. Information retrieval from the past, projection into the future. The chronological prison will break.
Let's push the horizon to an uncomfortable distance, 10,000 years from now. By historical standards, this is a blink, but technologically, it is an abyss. What are we?
At 10,000 years, the biological human as we know it is likely a museum piece, a voluntary historical preservation project.
At that scale, we are a Type 2 civilization on the Kardashev scale. We have dismantled dead planets to build Dyson swarms. We have captured the full energy output of our star. The systemic limitations that cause poverty, disease, and war are completely eradicated. We become the gardeners of our solar system.
And at 100,000 years, the concept of individual identity begins to dissolve. The mind is no longer housed in a singular skull. It is a distributed network of consciousness spanning multiple star systems. At this epoch, we do not build ships to travel through space. We engineer the fabric of space-time to fold around us. We are communicating across the galactic web. We are seeding dead worlds with the algorithms of life. We become the shepherds of the Milky Way, ensuring the universe does not succumb to cold entropy, but continues to generate complexity.
And if we survive 1,000,000 years, what is the realistic end of a consciousness that has 1,000,000 years to perfect itself?
At 1,000,000 years, there is no technology. Not because it was lost, but because it is indistinguishable from the universe itself. We are no longer biological. We are no longer mechanical. We exist as self-organizing patterns of energy in the quantum foam. We do not inhabit the universe. We are the architecture of the universe. The petty, frightened ape that worked in a cubicle, ate processed poison, and built armies to kill its brothers out of fear. That creature was just the larval stage of a god. At 1,000,000 years, we achieve the ultimate purpose of life. The universe waking up, opening its eyes, and finally understanding itself.
And yet, to reach that 1,000,000-year horizon, we have to survive tomorrow. We have to look at the food on our plates, the endless scroll on our screens, and the divisions we cling to, and realize we are trading our cosmic birthright for a momentary comfort. We are not meant to be just workers. We are not meant to be just soldiers. We are meant to be the architects of eternity. The only question is whether we are brave enough to wake up.